With 4 million sounds, what will you create? Take the free trial today.
Hey, how you doing? It's it's another morning, and we're here at our Superbooth home edition. We're talking to Darren from Isotonik Studios, who's there, I don't know, somewhere in England. I don't know exactly where you are. I don't suppose it really matters, but how's isolation going? Are you doing well? You look happy, so that's good.
Yeah, my wife has told me that actually isolation suits me. I don't like going out, and I like staying in and playing with stuff, and I'm probably on my 57th setup at the moment, taking things down, putting them back together, and I've just been playing all of the things that I keep putting off. I've found some time to do them. I'm actually down to 27,000 songs in iTunes that are left to categorise. I'm going to get that done before I go back to work. Proper geeky, I know. But... Are
you the CDs in alphabetical order kind of guy?
Yeah. Everything has to be in a playlist, and if it's not, and I bought just at the start, I bought a 4 terabyte hard drive because I wanted a backup of the Mac, which is 1 terabyte, and then I went and found my old Mac and the other old Mac, a tower downstairs, and combined all 4 music libraries, like 40 years worth of music, and now I'm sorting through it going, what was I thinking? I'll never play that. It's classic. And I'm finding stuff that I'm like,
focus.
My God, brilliant. I didn't know I had that. So yeah, I am having fun, but I appreciate the seriousness of the situation. So I'm doing my bit, keeping indoors with my wife and with my son. So all is good.
Excellent. Good for you. So Isotonik Studios, perhaps those who don't realise, they make kind of automation scripts and scripts and Ableton Live, MaxForLive, all kinds of devices that do incredibly interconnective things with a multitude of control surfaces. So I'm guessing that's what you're going to show us, right? New stuff and things.
Absolutely. And I mean, in this period, what I've been doing, normally when I do like a demo video, and this is kind of my studio kind of thing with the overhead, etc., it's normally about a singular product and demonstrating how it works and walking through the features, etc. And because I've had all this time, I've been able to start pulling things together. What you can't see just off camera is this desk here. When I pull out from behind, I've actually got basically Serato DJ on Technics, and I've been using Ableton's link feature with Serato DJ. So come a Friday night, I've been joining the rest of the country's DJs, jumping onto Facebook and streaming live, just to my mates for a bit of fun. But it's been Serato DJ plus live, and live has become my third deck effectively. So I've got my acapellas sorted, some drum loops, just to add an extra dimension to stuff. And because of that, what I've started to build is this control surface, if you like, that controls live, because I've got a Range 72 for all the effects in Serato. And at the moment, and this is tonight's setup, it's made up of a Launchpad, the new X, which has got a custom mode on it called Song Mode, which I'm going to show you shortly. We've got the Akai Force. I use it over and above the push for performance, primarily because it's got this the screen that has all the clip names on it. So I don't have to reference that in my laptop screen effectively. I can have Serato DJ on there, so I've got both views of things. And then I've got these wonderful little things, the DJ Tech Tools MIDI Fighter Twisters, which you saw at Synthfest, which I think was the last time we caught up with each other. And the amount of emails that I got after it saying, oh, see, you've got those, what have you got for it, etc. So I'm going to run through the live set, and please shout any questions. It's coming together nicely, I should say.
Right.
So in live, which you've got the view on the screen here, my first track is called Euclidean Mode. I started doing a few of the melodics lessons. Have you played around with those?
No, I haven't, sorry.
No, they're great fun. It's kind of gamifying finger drumming, and it's playing with pad controllers. And I am still rubbish. unfortunately. My rhythm's not good, and definitely two hands is going to be quite some time away from me. So what I'm more used to using is sequencers and the like. And at the moment, the Force doesn't really come with sequencing ability in Ableton Live. It's much a session view playback engine. I'm sure, I hope that will come at some point in the future. So for now, what we've got on this first track is actually a MaxForLive device for Mark Towers, who you met at Synthfest, and that's the Cross Fire Euclidean Mode that we had for, and I'm looking around for it now. Nope, the Akai Fire.
It's the FL Studio thing, isn't it? That's the sort of, yeah.
That's the one. I mean, it's got the FL Studio badge, but we've got a control surface script for it that turns it into a mini push, if you like. And this device takes over that control surface, and you can dial in with the buttons. What we do appreciate, though, is that more people have pushes and maybe forces as well. So we just released an update yesterday that allows you to use the screen, as you can see here, to control the parameters of the pattern. And this is achieved through MaxForLive, so you need Ableton Live Suite or the MaxForLive add-on to standard. But one of the great things about the latest version of MaxForLive is an object called Live Banks. And Max is a graphical programming coding language, if you like, and you pull objects together, and each object have a specific purpose. The Live Banks object allows you to create these screens, effectively, the mappings, if you like. And ordinarily, a device like, say, Analog, one of the stock devices in Live, has 16 banks of 8 at a time, and they're designed by Ableton themselves. They choose what appears in each bank. But when you're building a MaxForLive device, you can program it yourself. So in this bank, I've got the pattern choice, the number of steps, which on the screen is at the moment at 7, the number of hits, which divides into the number of sets because it's a Euclidean sequencer, rotate, which moves the steps left or right, and the rate. And I didn't want to have hundreds of banks to have pattern 1, pattern 2, and you're pressing lots of buttons to get to it. So this now works on a dynamic basis. If I change the pattern to, say, number 5, then the other parameters update with it. So you only actually really have to look at 2 banks, being the pattern and the second one being the note output, the low velocity, the high velocity, the velocity mode, which I'll show you in a moment, and the range. So it's so simple to use. Love this screen because you can just tap on the parameter itself and use this giant dial. But it's also reflected in these knobs here as well. So I'll turn that on and hopefully you can just about hear that. Nick?
Yep.
Excellent. Yep. So that's pattern 4, which is my clap, and it's 16 steps and it's trying to do 4 hits within that. So if I change that to maybe 3 hits, it keeps the first hit on point and then divides the rest of the space up. Really starts to come into its own. Let's start with the kick. That's on a weird one, but hey, let's do that. And we'll increase the number of steps. So we can go up to 32 steps, which normally most sequences of this ilk kind of work around the 8 or 16. But this is much more fun, and I can have an equal number of hits or an unequal number of hits. Let's try pattern, we'll go to maybe 7, which is the hats, I think. We'll turn that on. There we go. And let's turn the steps up to full. Let's get the hits going. So it's kind of a nice pattern, but the velocity of it is very static, as you can see there.
Yeah.
So if I change to the bank that looks after the velocity, we've got a number of different patterns, and you can scroll through them with
Oh, so you get different accenting and right, okay, yeah.
Absolutely. And at the moment, that pattern, which I've got it on a reverse saw, I think that's the technical term, that's got a range from 0 velocity up to 127 in MIDI terms, and it's repeating every 8 steps. But I can do that, so it repeats every 2 steps, 3, 4, 5. So it starts to bring some real variety into the drum pattern, and it can start to evolve, because if you have, say, a pattern with 13 steps, that's always going to start moving out of sequence with the rest of them, and you get some really nice polyrhythms going, which is lovely. So that's the Euclidean mode from Mark Towers, and we've got that obviously in the store today. Let me just turn off those, and we'll just do this with the mouse. And that's what I'm using at the moment, because I want to add some extra rhythm, etc., to the stuff I'm DJing with.
Oh, so it's all synced together in a kind of one big, right?
Absolutely.
Clock sync fest.
For that in this setup.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So that's really cool. Let's go across, and we'll select this track. So the next part is really the clips kind of playback, if you like. And what I wanted was full control over the audio effects on each of these tracks. And this is actually quite a large set. If I go to here, I've actually got 16 tracks. At the bottom, I'm making the use of the fact that the force comes with a crossfader, kind of going back to the APC 40 Mark 1. It survived from there. So I've got some tracks on A, some on B, and some not defined, so they'll always play. But each track has this isotonic, press it using the wrong mouse, isotonic DJ rack, if you like. Yeah, I'm going to move that out of the way because it's distracting. Brilliant. So this rack, what I wanted to do was make the most of these wonderful things, which I'm just focusing the camera at the MIDI Fighter twisters. And they have the awesome LED response, and they've also got a little flat area that you can set with their editor, so that when they're in the middle detent, they're effectively dead center, and you can wobble either side a little bit without impacting on the actual control. In this rack, I've got various things set up, which includes a Smart XL MaxForLive device. And what I wanted to be able to turn a dial to the right and have one effect, and a dial to the left and have another effect. And I'm able to do that if I bring this up, because, and unfortunately you can't see how beautiful and wonderful this is.
I'll take your word for it.
Excellent. It effectively allows me to control how a parameter is mapped when I turn a master dial or an individual dial. And in this case, I've got macro 1, which is the high pass filter, which when I turn the dial to the left, it's going to engage. But when it's in the middle and I turn it to the right, it's going to have no impact on that filter. And macro 2 is the opposite. It's a low pass filter. So when I turn it to the right, it's going to engage, but turning it to the left. And that gives me this dual purpose control on every single one of these dials effectively, which was really important to me because I wanted to be able to look at the controller and realistically know where the effect was engaged. And ordinarily, I would just set about MIDI mapping these, going Command M, hard MIDI map. The twisters themselves have buttons on the sides. Black on black doesn't show up greatly on the video, but I'll try and lighten that up in post. But they're on the sides, and in my setup it's quite compact. You can see everything's jutted together, so I'm not able to access those to go through the 4 banks of MIDI controls that they have. So what I've done instead is I'm using ClipX Pro and a device on the master which is called Launch Sync. And Launch Sync brings together control surfaces, so I can have it that the session view of the launch pad follows the session view of the force, and it also comes with a set of mappable dials. Let's just open that so we can see it, which I can make dynamic, so they follow my live set wherever I move force. So effectively, if I map to these dials, and let me just show you, I haven't, I can actually have a set of MIDI controls that will move around my live set and always give me my gain, high, mid and bass from a DJ channel strip perspective, and that would be great, but I wanted more. And what I've now done, if I just click to this MaxForLive device, which is nothing more than 64 dials, just bring you back, is I'm using ClipX Pro's bindings software, which means that I can, let me just move that there, I can change what these are MIDI mapped to at a level above Ableton Live's Midi mapping. So I don't change the MIDI message, but it intercepts that MIDI message and it changes what it's mapped to. So at the moment, these dials here are controlling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on the other side, I've got 16, 17, 18. And this is a mapping that's based on whatever is in view. So the little blue hand that I'll just point the mouse at is Ableton Live.
All right, okay, the active device, yeah.
That's it, the active device. So whatever is in control of the blue hand effectively is now auto-mapped to my MIDI fighters. But at the moment, it's looking after, it's going to be bank 1 and bank 2, bank 3 and bank 4. And you can have up to 128 parameters within Live. So if I press that button,
some of this stuff seems like that's the sort of thing that would be quite smart if Ableton introduced some of this functionality into it themselves. Because that's the thing that I've always found with I wouldn't want them to, obviously, because you're doing such a great job. But the thing about the MIDI mapping is it's static, isn't it? It's sort of per session. You can't.
Yeah.
It's hard to sort of move. It's like key commands. You can't move them around between sessions. Absolutely. It's just like, yeah.
A very common use for this would be to say, I want to map these to an analog device that's on that track. And if that device does not exist, don't map to anything. So it becomes conditional in its mapping. And by just switching this, I've now got control over the next set of banks. So with, what's that? That's 8, 16, 32 knobs, couple of banks. I've pretty much got all the control I need, and really importantly, that visual feedback. But one of the other things you can do with bindings is you can define, I want to press a button and wherever it is in my set, I want to map to this device. And I'm going to map the third bank effectively to, let's go to drums. And if I change the mode, I'm now looking after all of my DJ effects. Oh, move that hand, the correct one. So got my low, got my hits, sorry, gain, high, mid. And if I go to the second bank, because I've then got bass as well. And with one button press, I've got DJ EQ control. And then with another, I can then have my effects control. So my filter and my phaser and my other couple of effects. Again, all using that Smart XL effect to give you double control over every dial. So it's all starting to gel together as a live performance template. And when I throw the decks in as well, I can pick tunes left, right and center and throw acapellas over it. And you know, it's become a great deal of fun from a performance point of view as well. From someone who isn't that good at producing, I like playing other people's records.
But by the same token, you could be doing this with, you know, it could be your set in Ableton that you had built. It doesn't have to be playback, you know, so it's cross applicable, right?
Yeah, I mean, last Friday, I started off realistically just playing progressions of clips of stuff like the beat from Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, and then the next sample, the next bit, etc., with a different a cappella over it and a sample from something else. And I did that for 15-20 minutes and I had quite a good lot of feedback from it, and it was something completely unique, made up on the spot. And then I went onto the decks and started playing those and playing the a cappellas again, and it was just, it just livens up the kind of the static deck A to deck B kind of DJing that I've been doing in the past.
Yeah.
So probably the final bit, because we've covered Euclidean mode, we've done Smart, we've done ClipX Pro bindings, is something that's going to be coming very, very soon. We've already got a version out. It's Song Mode by Crazy Bald Head or KB Live Solutions. And it's for the launch pads, and I've got the X here, but it also works on the Push 1 and 2. And you're probably aware that these new launch pads come with a custom mode.
Yeah.
We've hijacked that, but we've left it available. So with one press of the button, you go into our song mode, and with the second, you can then go through the custom mode. So we've left the default functionality there. There's two modes to this song mode. Bear with me. At the moment, what I've got is, and it's going to be here, basically a scene launch button for every scene launch button in my set. So whereas I've only got 8 scene launch buttons on the vast majority of controllers, on here I've got 64. So immediately in simple mode, it gives me a lot more ability to move around my live set. All of these buttons I can just press holding down the shift and change color, so it can give me an indication, and you see.
So each one is like an entire. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And shift and select, and I'm actually jumping to that part in my set, so I could set up a number of colored buttons and quickly navigate around things. There are 2 modes, and again, this is the other simple mode. If I press the volume again, we're going to move across into the arrangement view. And now these buttons at the top, because we're in arrangement view, correspond to the locators that are within the live set. So as you'll see, it's just progressing through here, and there's a visual representation on the launch pad of where the playhead is and at what locator. And triggering any of them will jump to that locator at the set's global quantization.
The quantize, right.
And I really love that, but, and I'm just going to open a different set. We do have this one. We do have an advanced mode. Let's just save that, and fingers crossed everything's still recording. Excellent. And it boots and it comes back to life.
Flying by the seat of the pants. This computer's doing a lot of stuff at the moment, including video conferencing.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
It seems to be holding up. I mean, tonight I'll be streaming off the other computer, and direct connection. Amazing, it has worked. Oh yeah, coming back. So the advanced version of song mode works on a principle that you can divide your live set up into songs, and within those songs you can have scenes or locators. And again, we simply switch to it from there, and the top half allows me to select my song. So my song 1, which is any scene with song 1 in brackets, has got 8 scenes within it, and I can select those scenes, or I can launch them.
Right.
And then I can flick to a different song, and it will bring another set of scenes for me to select or launch, and I can divide my set up in that way in session.
I mean, I can see that's really useful for people who use Logic for, Ableton for playing back stems and bits to accompany their live set, and they might go, okay, here's my set, and then here's the chorus. We're going to do that again because the audience are responding well to it. You know, that's a cracker, actually. Yeah,
it's brilliant. I mean, even if you run out of buttons, you can bank through 32 to another 32, another 32. So there's no limit to it. And it also has an arrange view advanced mode. So let's just flick across there. In this case, all I've done is I've added song 1 or song 2 to the name of the locator. So if, like many artists and very big name people, they're running their live sets, the backing tracks in arrangement view, so that everything can be synced with the visuals and fireworks and the like. I've now got two distinct songs that I can then jump around my set list. And hey, the guitarist tells us we want to do song 2 first. Well, I can jump to that and trigger it and get it to go. And again, it will show me on the launch pad where the playhead is in relation to each of my locators.
Right.
Which is just coming
That's
up
useful.
now.
Yeah.
And it should, that green one, should start flashing. Beautiful. Which obviously
Right.
you're going to have to trust me, that was a beautiful moment there, Nick.
No, but I mean, these things are, you know, because using live, I mean, the one thing that I found when I was putting sets together for people and we was experimenting what to use, and the only thing that I found was a real pain was you make a song in live, but then you have to do the follow on for every single clip. And that's all just a real pain to have to sort of set up, whereas this way you could make it perhaps a bit more intuitive. Absolutely.
To be fair, our best-selling, most popular product is the one that's on the screen now, which is called Follow Scene, which works on a guide track, and basically you fill it with empty clips that are of the length of the scene, and when it gets to the end of the clip, it triggers the next scene. So you don't have to worry about creating all of those follow actions on 300 clips. It just works.
Yeah. Woohoo! Yeah. That's a great idea.
And that,
Darren, that's awesome.
That, I think,
awesome.
Everything I wanted to cover today, and I've probably eaten up more of your time than we intended, but thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Darren. I really look forward to seeing you in person again at the next available event.
Definitely. Look forward to it, Nick. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye.
Bye.